Well, the stakes, of course, are high for tonight's primary. Historically, Wisconsin, well, it's predicted every GOP nominee going back to 1968. Take a look at this table here. So, the big question, if Ted Cruz can take a hold of the Badger State, what will it mean for him? And can Donald Trump prove that the polls are wrong and change history? Joining us now to discuss all the implications, Tucker Carlson makes his debut, along with Senator Scott Brown, Mica, Mosbacher, and Tammy. Bruce. Tucker, got to go to you first. How do you see this whole thing shaking out?
Well, it looks like he's going to lose. I mean, all the polls.
Who's he?
Yes,
Trump?
Donald Trump. That's right. If he were to win tonight, I do think it would kind of be over at that point. We're looking at 5 primaries after this. All of states conducive to Trump. Sure, the mid-Atlantic region, he's ahead by almost 40 points in New York. So this, I mean, it's not really about getting Ted Cruz to 1237. It's unlikely to happen. It's about stopping Trump.
But it is also about momentum, right? It could be an inflection point. If Ted Cruz were to win by double digits, for say, that carries him along. Maybe it doesn't change the outcome, but it could. It doesn't change who wins these states you're talking about, but it could narrow the gaps.
Well, I mean, I think the point of the Cruz effort is to gain legitimacy, which is to say votes and delegates in states won, for the convention at which he can make his case that really I should be the nominee. I don't think many people are expecting Cruz to get to the majority of delegates, so that seems pretty unlikely. Yeah,
but here's the thing, Tammy. If Cruz does win tonight, particularly the majority of the delegates, it's going to be much harder for Donald Trump to get to that magic number 2.
Well, it is, and yet, again, it does come down to legitimacy, and what you're saying also, what Cruz is doing in the meantime with his team of still maneuvering for delegates in other states. So this is an ongoing maneuvering aspect of trying to convince other people, not just when you're on the ground with them, but they're also watching the news. They're also seeing what's going on, attitudes, what the exit polls are saying, how you're convincing other people, and that's key. But clearly, when it comes to the nature of this state, that poll you showed, that listing of the percentages with who becomes the nominee, notice that the individuals who got a massive amount of support also became president. You're looking at individuals who you might become the nominee, like, well, Mr. McCain, Senator McCain, but doesn't then end up winning the general.
Right.
So you can also look at the nature of how these Wisconsinites vote together, and if it's a big push, and what it says to the rest of the country.
Yeah, to that point that Tammy was bringing up, the Republicans who won this GOP primary with less than 60%, whether it was Romney, 44%, McCain at 55%, Bob Dole at 52%, or even Ford. Only Ronald Reagan had a low percentage, 40%, and was able to actually go on to become president of the United States. But no one, Senator Brown, from the GOP side has gone on to win a nomination. So can we overplay how important Wisconsin is, not just for those 42 delegates, but in terms of the emotions or as a litmus test for where the GOP stands at this moment?
Well, you know, I reflect back to a week ago, then a week before that, and a week before that, and every state's the most important state. And I said, you know.
I don't know that we said that about Guam, but go ahead.
Well, let's keep it in perspective. It's 42 delegates, and by rights, Ted Cruz should crush Donald Trump with the amount of negative advertising by the Never Trump people, by the establishment, by all the conservative talk show hosts. He should get crushed. So if he doesn't get crushed, I think that says a lot. And we are moving on to New York next, which in the Northeast, and I think Ted Cruz is going to have some real problems in that area. And if you're just saying, oh, you know, 42 delegates, does it stop Trump? I don't see how you stop Trump. He just needs, what, 54%, so it goes up to, what, 58%? Ted Cruz is still at 80+% he needs to get the delegates. He's not going to get them.
Yeah, but Mica, you're a Ted Cruz supporter, and I think we all know the game he's trying to play is to get to the convention and then hash it out over there. And we know so far behind the scenes, he has done a much better job than Donald Trump at getting delegates. He's winning delegates over. I don't know how they do it, but in states where he outright lost the vote. Now, some people think that's unfair. He is doing it. He's building momentum. So he's doing what he's got to do behind the scenes, and this could give him some momentum. I'm sure you believe that.
Well, I do. There's been a lot of pole dancing going on this week, and Ted Cruz is leading the polls with women. More importantly, he has engaged in old-fashioned retail politics with his wife, Heidi Cruz, and Scott Walker, and he's good at this. He's established a Camp Cruz with over 200 volunteers, similar to what he did in Iowa. He's great at ground games. Additionally, conservative radio talk show hosts have been pummeling Donald Trump over the comments about women this week, and that's why I think the spotlight is on Wisconsin. Cruz's message is
But, Mica, does any
resonating
of
with
this
those
carry over?
well-educated suburban women. Yes.
We know Wisconsin has
I'll
this
tell
unique
you what.
situation with these conservative talk hosts, with the Scott Walker endorsement, where most governor endorsements haven't proven to be effective. Maybe this will. But is there any carryover effect?
I think there is, because Cruz's message about women, the civility of this tone, the fact that he believes in dignity of life and the sanctity and dignity of the mother have resonated very well with women voters. I predict tonight he'll carry at least 32 delegates.
Tammy, you've liked Cruz to a degree so far.
Oh, yes. Yeah. If the election was obviously today, I'd vote for Mr. Cruz, but I certainly would not lose sleep if Mr. Trump was elected.
Right.
At the same time, I assert, as a woman, I know that Tucker Carlson can relate to this as a woman voter there, is that the issues that are women's issues, our jobs, are the economy, is national security, all right? The argument about abortion or about even how we're viewed is a bit 80s and 90s, right? I think of the Go-Go's and Bananarama and Blondie. You know, we care about these issues, but there are some other issues that are really important that women care about as much as men do, and it's a mistake to think that they're going to be moved. This is also helpful for the general election as well.
Well, then let me ask Tucker then. Today in Mississippi, a law was passed with respect to gay couples. You see what's happening in North Carolina. We saw with the move from the governor in Georgia.
Right.
And all of a sudden, abortion. I know it feels like maybe the 70s, 80s, and we don't talk about it anymore. But considering the Supreme Court, the president will fill 3 Supreme Court seats at least, a new president. Could some of these issues start to roar back into the forefront? Some of these old-line conservative GOP, standard-bearer social issues?
Whenever you impose something on a population by fiat rather than democratically, it's not really settled. I mean, I think most people may feel in agreement with the Supreme Court decision, many people, on gay marriage, but they don't want to see it imposed. This is why Roe v. Wade lingers as a divisive issue. This is why the Iraq War is still divisive. This is why Obamacare is still unpopular. I mean, pick your issue. Anything that is chosen from above and forced on the people without a full and fair debate is not resolved. And that's why the Republicans should be very careful about talking about how they're going to pick, some guy who's never run before, Paul Ryan. It's insane.
All right, Tucker, well, I'm glad you ran in to get on our show, at least making your debut. Hopefully we'll get a lot more.